Good morning. Welcome back, Jamie, from your pursuit of love in Los Angeles.
Yeah, let's not get into that, Piers, because you'll rip me a new one. But look,
I was just wondering if you see any parallels between your pursuit of love and Bayern Munich pursuing your striker, because I can't think of a better transfer window than Arsenal signed Declan Rice and Harry Kane leaves you lot for Germany. It's really turning out to be the perfect transfer window.
Piers, let's be honest. I think he's all getting a little bit carried away with Declan Rice. I mean, it's a great signing, top player, but come on. He's not Kevin De Bruyne. You ain't signed Haaland. You haven't signed Luka Modric. He's a good player. You got him from West Ham.
Yeah, okay, let me just put things in perspective. What would Tottenham fans know about properly good players these days? Because nobody wants to join you who's any good. In fact, the only good players you do have want to leave. So let's just park that to one side. Secondly, I think Rice is, right now, just about as good a signing as I could have possibly wished for. And I'll tell you why. He's an incredibly experienced international footballer at the top of his game with room for improvement. He's 24. He's played over 40 times for his country. He's just won a European trophy with West Ham, which is the first thing they've done in many decades. And he propelled that team towards that silverware. But also, I watched his whole interview that he gave with Sky after the announcement came. And I was so incredibly impressed by Rice. He just talks so brilliantly about why he's come to Arsenal. It's all about, for him, winning trophies. And I love the fact he said, I understand why Arsenal fans are so demanding. They are right to be demanding, and we have to win trophies. That's the attitude we need. We've had too many years where fans have been traduced into thinking coming fourth is a trophy, winning the FA Cup is great, all this kind of nonsense. If you want to be a proper European football powerhouse, you've got to win your league title or you've got to win the Champions League. That's it. Nothing else matters. And Declan Rice, I believe, added to the other signings we've made, added to that squad, which is now going to be only better this year, I think we've got a real chance.
Piers, I'll try and be the referee in this with the Arsenal Spurs between you and Jamie. But Declan Rice, this is how I would think if I was playing against him. And I always judge players by, would I like to play against him? If I was playing against him tomorrow, first of all, I would be aggressive with him. I'd try and get on top of him and see if he can cope with that. If he makes me look stupid as I'm on my way in to leave a bit on him or get close to him, the ball's gone. Is he going to run past me all day when I get too close to him into the other box? I'm going to have to chase him fitness-wise. He's good at that. So in the end, you end up letting him have the ball, and can he hurt me with his passing? So aggression don't work. He's fitter than me. And if I let him have it, is he going to spray the ball everywhere? So he does me on the day. So I think, looking at it, he's got all of them.
Yeah, I think he's like a cross between Tony Adams and Vieira. And I say that not because I want to oversell him or anything, but I think he's got that Vieira commanding presence in midfield, which we've been really lacking. I think he's going to be a proper midfield general for us. But I also think he's got that Tony Adams mentality, which we really need at Arsenal, which is he's a homegrown boy. He totally gets what it means to win the Premier League here. He's somebody that I think will lead those young players, some of whom are brilliant, but a little bit younger than him and maybe lack that experience at the highest level. I think he's got everything that we need. He's Adams meets Vieira with a dash of Bergkamp. And the reason I say that is that when we signed Bergkamp in 1995, it was transformative for the club. And I think that Declan Rice could be a transformative signing for us. I saw someone, I think it was Perry Groves today in the paper, saying he thinks it'd be like when Liverpool signed Van Dijk. And I think he's right. I think it's that big a signing. So he's worth every penny of the money. And I think he's going to be a transformative signing for us.
Piers, I've got to ask you now, the pressure's on Arteta, because last season, you progressed as a football club. You had a good go in trying to win the Premier League. You finished the season with no trophies. But this season, with the money that you've spent and the players that you've signed, does Mikel Arteta have to win a trophy? And if he doesn't, how would you see him as a manager?
Well, Jamie, let me ask you a question. Do you think I'm a young man?
No.
It's a trick question.
Right. I'm 58 years old. And you lot haven't won the league in my lifetime. All right? So why don't you just pipe down about pressure of winning trophies? Secondly, here's what I would say about Arteta. I think that what was really interesting again from that interview that Rice gave was he said his view of Arteta was formed by watching the Amazon documentary series, and the same with me. So I was an Arteta skeptic until I watched that series because he'd gone 2 seasons, he'd lost 13 league matches each season. It didn't seem to be working. But I saw stuff in that documentary. I saw the evolution of a young coach into a proper manager who had the backing of his players, the backing of the fans, and I completely bought into the Arteta thing. So I think, yeah, there's huge pressure on him. Of course there is, because this pressure he's created by turning this team from a very mediocre side, underperforming, into potential title winners last season. And I've said this before on talkSPORT, we should have won the league, right? There's absolutely no excuse for the way we choked it last season. And I want players in that dressing room who don't try and find excuses, but who say, no, we choked it and we're not going to choke it again. Now, we're up against in City, one of the all-time greatest teams. You could argue they're the second best Premier League team ever, because obviously they haven't gone a season without losing, so they're not the Invincibles, therefore they're not as good as that Arsenal team in 2004. But they are a fantastic team, and arguably right now the best team in the world. So it's not going to be easy, and no Arsenal fan expects that. What we do think, I think collectively as a fan base, is that finally we are competing in the players that we're signing. We are competing at the highest level to try and now win these top trophies. Declan Rice is a marker in the sand, £105 million, a huge amount of money, but for a 24-year-old, top of his game, with the right attitude, the right hunger, and the right idea that we are demanding at Arsenal, because it's been so long since we won the league. So can we win the league? It's going to be very hard. Are we going to be, in my opinion, at the start of the league, at least the second best team out there? Absolutely. And I think that the others haven't strengthened in any way. I mean, I look at Liverpool, barely done anything. I look at United and think, all right, you've got half a Rice in Mount, and that's about it. And some goalkeeper I've never heard of, you're all getting very excited about. Great, but they're not going to be a threat. Newcastle don't have done very much either. So all the people, and Chelsea don't know what the hell they're doing. So all the teams that I thought were going to really power on and be a big threat to us actually have had pretty lackluster windows. We've had a very, very well-planned, well-executed window. We seem to have given Arteta the players that he wanted. And I heard you gobbing off about Havertz earlier, and I'll be honest, I'm not completely convinced by Havertz, but here's what I am convinced by. I'm convinced that if Mikel Arteta wants to spend that kind of money on Havertz, he's seen something in him that he believes he can turn into a proper title-winning player. And I know that from friends of mine who studied Havertz in Germany, what a good player he was before he went to Chelsea, who have ruined many a great player. Yeah. So yeah. I want to see what's he going to be like in our formation. He's going to play him to the left of Odegaard. Okay, let's see what happens. I back Arteta. I think Arteta clearly sees in Havertz someone that can be a top player for us. And if he is, there's something, you look at that Arsenal squad. I personally, I've said this before, I still think we're one top striker short. And I would have loved us to have gone in and broken the bank with someone like Osimhen, and everyone will laugh. But why shouldn't we? If we actually do want to win the top trophies, and the Kroenke family, all their American sports franchises across all American sports have all started winning top trophies, right? Yeah. In the last 3-4 years, they've become, and I think they've got a lust now, the Kroenkes, for winning big things. So I think they will back Arteta. I think we're one striker short. I think we need a proper 25 to 30 goals a season striker, and I don't think Gabriel Jesus is that guy. I think he's a brilliant player for us, but I would love it if we were to go out and improve with one more signing.
Finally, Piers, I've got to ask you, talkSPORT are having a five-a-side game on Friday the 28th of July. Can we persuade you to get involved? Alan Brazil's first team coach?
You can't afford me, mate, I'm sorry.
That's very true. That's true.
It's just I'm too expensive per minute. It would basically bankrupt.
Have your legs gone, Piers? Yeah.
No, 58. Mate. No. The legs are never there. Can I say one shout out before we go, boys, to the England cricket team, because this is turning into one of the all-time great Ashes series. And come Wednesday at Old Trafford, this is going to be one of the biggest games for English cricket in about 100 years. And I just want to wish Ben Stokes and the boys all the very best, because if we were to now win this series 3-2, having been 2-0 down, it will be the greatest Ashes win in the history of Ashes cricket. So good luck to the boys.
Yeah, hear.
Yeah, Piers, absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Piers.
And don't miss Harry too much, Jamie.
No, he ain't going nowhere, that's for sure. I can't wait. I'll be having it with Piers all season. If I'm on breakfast, me and him are going to be going head to head.
I know he was in a bit of a rush, but I was going to ask him if he thinks all the money in football's ruining it, and is it going to pop?
I'm sure we'll speak to him again. Talk TV is the only place you can watch Piers Morgan, Jeremy Kyle, Julia Hartley Brewer, and Mike Graeme. It's unfiltered and unmissable. So go give Talk TV or try on Sky 522, Virgin Media 606, Freeview 237, or listen on Talk Radio on DAB or via the app.
TalkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.